What's up, Lore Masters? If you haven't already, go ahead and click the link in the top right-hand corner. Watch the Dominion Victory series from the very first episode, and then come back. If you don't, this video won't make a lot of sense. I'll be starting from the end of the last video, Captain Janeway destroys the Dominion, and going from there without much explanation. So you'll be completely confused if you don't heed my warning. With that out of the way, let's just get into it. Starting this off, I'm going to go ahead and address a common complaint that I keep hearing in the series. Mainly, Janeway teaming up with the rogue Borg and arriving to help defeat the Dominion. I can understand people having issues with the writing, but as I've stated previously, this entire series is based on what I think would be the most likely to happen and how it would be written in a licensed work. When you take a look at the Voyager series, I think that you can quite definitively show that the one thing Janeway does well is coalition building. It's also quite easy to see how she would be near fanatical when presented with the destruction of the Federation. We also know that through the abilities of Seven of Nine and the Rogue Borg, Janeway would have an opportunity to bring multiple forces together. So it's not unreasonable, especially for the writers of Voyager, to have the Intrepid-class ship bring a band of merry Borg and come to the rescue. Does it seem somewhat out there? For Star Trek, overall, maybe. For Star Trek Voyager, definitively not. This scenario is consistent with the writing of Voyager. Whether you agree or not, for this scenario, the savior of the Alpha Quadrant would be Janeway, and the Dominion would be pushed further and further back. Taking another look at the last episode, I stated that I wasn't sure what would happen with the Dominion's surviving fleet. If they would be left alone in defeat or destroyed. Honestly, after thinking about it, I feel that even most of the elements of the remaining Starfleet officers would press for the destruction of the Dominion threat. Any remaining Dominion survivors would be defeated, hunted down, and destroyed. No Dominion warship nor Jem'Hadar would be allowed to survive. From there, the powers of the Alpha Quadrant would have to figure out what to do. The entirety of the Alpha Quadrant would be broken. The Federation in tatters with much of its territory splintered. Romulan space would be no better, most of the Romulan infrastructure would be gone. The Klingons would nearly have been wiped out of existence, and so they're space barren. Ironically, the places most likely to have fared the best would be the Cardassian Union and Bajoran space. What happens at this point would be hard to say. The individual empires would want to try to keep their autonomy, and to this effect, we'd probably see some border wars or small skirmishes between the different empires. You'd also have many governments not too keen on having Borg, even allied Borg, right next to them. However, with the Federation, the Romulans, the Klingons, and the Cardassians in disarray, there would really be only one answer that ultimately the Alpha Quadrant would come to: the forming of a galactic alliance. The major powers and some minor powers would ultimately come together to form a union that would ensure a defense in case the Dominion ever tried to come back. But where to put the capital? Earth would still most likely have its version of the Quickening, Romulus would be destroyed. As I've stated, you would have the Klingon territories obliterated. There'd really only be one place, perhaps, that would be the perfect spot: Bajor. And so here is where you'd have the seat of power for the Galactic Alliance. Bajorans, Cardassians, the Rogue Borg, Klingons, United Federation of Planets, Romulus, Tholians, Zinkethi, and more would ally together, and the Alpha Quadrant would be ruled from the Bajoran sector. It would also be here where the Allied powers would begin to rebuild. The Galactic Alliance would combine its fleets, its technologies, its peoples. You would begin to have ships that would be an amalgamation of the different empires. And you know, it's quite possible that one day, many generations out, fissures would begin to form in Dominion space. This would happen all over the Dominion territory. And without any warning, ships bearing the emblem of the Alliance would pour out, as the descendants of those who fought for their freedom in the Alpha Quadrant would attack the Dominion to exact revenge. And so would begin the fall of the Dominion and liberation of the Gamma Quadrant. And probably the genocide of every Jem'Hadar, Changeling, Vorta, and any Dominion allied power that existed. But this is my thoughts on how a Dominion victory would have turned out. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Hey, if you like this series or you like this channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon at patreon.com/lorereloaded. Don't forget to check me out at twitter@twitter.com/lorereloaded. And as always, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. And I'm going to see you guys on the next Lore Reloaded.